Welcome back to part 2 of Next on the Tee. We're not done yet. Coming up, more stories, more insight, and more reasons to love this game. Let's dive right back in. Part 2 starts now, right here on Next on the Tee, where golf legends live and your game gets better.
Hi, folks. Welcome into part 2 of this week's show, featuring my conversations with the confidence doctor, Dr. Bob Winters, and our good friend, Mark Calcavecchia. You guys know what an integral part of the show Dr. Bob has been over the last few years, helping us with our mental approach, helping us get the confidence we need to go out and perform well out on the golf course. I mean, the results are right there for you. If you go check out his Instagram page, boy, what a profound impact he has had on certainly several junior players, and then it goes all the way up through the college ranks and into the pro tours. This time around, we'll hear a little bit more about the successes students are having and how we can apply that to our own game, plus how to get our minds in the proper mindset and to get to yes instead of those negative thoughts that creep into our minds when we're out there playing on the golf course. It's a great segment with Dr. Bob. He'll join me here in just a few moments. Following him, we'll round out this week's show with a visit, like I say, from our good friend Mark Calcavecchia. Mark shares his thoughts on the potential that the PGA Tour, right, we've been talking about this for the last few weeks, that they may reduce the number of tournaments in 2027. And why in the world are they thinking about that? You'll get Mark's reaction. He also tells the story of getting to sit alongside Jack Wulcotte. And Jack was the guy who made the old McGregor persimmon woods, handcrafted those things. Mark got to watch that process and tells you those stories. Mark also tells you why you'll never catch him in an autonomous vehicle. Great story. And if you follow him on social media, you saw it on there as well. And if you recall from our prior conversations, Mark is a big fan and a great friend of Jack Nicklaus. And I asked him whether he agrees or not with Jack when Jack used to say that winning a major was easier than winning a regular tour event because there were only a handful of guys. In Jack's opinion, when he walked into the locker room at a major, he used to say there's only a handful of guys that actually think they're capable of winning a major. So you only had to beat that portion of the field. You get Mark's reaction to that. Mark is great. Every segment that he has joined me has been so much fun for me to be a part of. I hope you've enjoyed them as well. This is no different from all the rest. Mark's fantastic. The stories he shares are fantastic. You're going to laugh. You're going to really enjoy it. So I've got a great second half of the show in store for you. So as always, sit back, relax, let us take your mind off everything else going on in your life for the next hour or so. All right, but before we get into all of that, are you tired of boring golf clothes? Well, Sunday Swagger is changing the game with premium performance apparel that delivers the look and feel of $100 polos for much, much less, while never sacrificing style for comfort. Their bold polos, shorts, and outerwear feature 4-way stretch and moisture-wicking fabric that moves with you, whether you're crushing drives or crushing happy hour. With over 300 unique designs and vibrant colors ranging from bestsellers like Jawbreaker to exclusive collaborations with people like Guinness, Sunday Swagger offers something for everybody. And their matching prints for couples and families with children are flying off the shelves. You might even recognize some Sunday Swagger designs in popular Hollywood movies and TV shows, including Happy Gilmore 2. Sunday Swagger is guaranteed to turn heads and spark conversations. Visit sundayswagger.com and join the Sunday Club for exclusive drops and member benefits. Sunday Swagger. It's your swagger. Embrace it. Own it. And I also want to remind you about our great friends over at 2 Under. 2 Under men's performance briefs are the unofficial underwear of the PGA, Ryder Cup, and President's Cup teams, and are sold in over 3,000 golf pro shops and golf specialty retailers nationwide. Ricky Fowler is their global ambassador, and over 50 other PGA, Korn Ferry, and Champions Tour players wear them. Just to mention a few, they are David Toms, Jerry Kelly, Justin Thomas, William McGirt, Scott McCarron, and Chris DeMarco. The Joey Pouch technology provides the ultimate male asset management, delivering maximum comfort from the tee box to the boardroom to the bedroom. Go to 2under.com to check out the bundle specials that offer substantial discounts for being a Next on the Tee listener. That's the number 2, UNDR.com. 2 under, performance in your pants. I also want to give a shout out to our great friends over at Squares Golf.
So Nick here. What if there was a golf shoe embraced by hundreds of thousands of golfers, celebrated for its stability, comfort and distance? What if this shoe earned the title of most technologically advanced golf shoe by Sports Illustrated? And what if the company behind that shoe spent the last year perfecting a brand new category of golf footwear? Well, the what if is here. Introducing the all-new Pro S2 LT by Squares, a new class all of its own, the perfect blend of lightweight comfort and stable performance. You'll notice the difference. Change your shoes, change your game. Squares.
Okay, now next on the tee with me is the confidence doctor, Dr. Bob Winters. As you guys know, Doc is the coach for our mental approach, makes everything about our mental side of the game better and helps us improve performance. He joins me every month to help us think differently, develop confidence, play smarter. You can find him down in Orlando at his Performance Enhancement Company or at the Ledbetter Golf Academy at the Reunion Resort. The work that Dr. Bob is doing with his players, ranging from junior golfers all the way up to tour players, simply amazing. The winning just keeps on coming. The list of his players doing amazing things out on the course grows every single month. Dr. Bob is also a board member at the Next Tour, which is a feeder tour to the Epson and LPGA tours. And I'm so grateful I get to have him back and kicking off 2026 with me this week. Hey, Dr. Bob, how are you, my friend?
Chris, Happy New Year. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there. Happy New Year to you. How are you? You got to be on cloud 9 every time I turn around twice. One of your students has won another golf tournament.
Well, I'll tell you what really puts me on cloud 9 is all of my great students, but my great friend, TP, Tom Patry, who is just a wonderful human being. I mean, he's a great golf instructor, bar none. But, when he says, superlatives about me, it just makes me proud just to be his friend because, he wouldn't say it unless he really meant it. And I mean it right back to him as well. And yeah, we always have a great time, together. And this is going to be another fantastic year of 2026. I have people who have been winning all these different holiday tournaments. And I'll tell you what I really wanted to kind of talk about, tonight. I really wanted to talk to you about the expectations for 2026 and the aspirations of people. And the one thing, that I would love everyone to do is to adopt a mindset that I'm going to tell you about that I learned from a 86-year-old Fuller brush salesman. Would you love to hear that story? Yeah,
I absolutely would.
Absolutely. Well, it's back, when I was at the University of Virginia, I was doing my doctorate, I was there, with Bob Rotella and Linda Bunker, and there was, my goodness, just so many great people. I mean, some of the best minds in the world were at, UVA during that time that I was there. And I was looking through the Charlottesville Observer. It was a local newspaper. And I was always looking about, how we could actually improve our mindset, our mood set, and develop confidence and competence. And in the Charlottesville Observer, they had an article about still going strong, 86-year-old Fuller brush salesman. His name was Oscar Bowles. Now, for those people who don't know what a Fuller brush salesman is, the Fuller brush salesman was a door-to-door cold call salesman who would take his bag of brushes, of homemade brushes for your dogs, brushes for paint, brushes to actually clean things with. And he would actually make them, for you at night and return the next day and actually give you your product. So the Fuller brush salesman had one of the toughest jobs, but at the time, back in the 20s, 30s, and especially in the 40s, during, the war and after the war, the Fuller brush salesman, was a really hot commodity. And they could make, pretty good money if you had, the gumption to go door to door and have doors slammed in your face. So I was reading this paper, Chris, and it said 86-year-old Oscar Bowles has become the second all-time leading Fuller brush salesman. And I'm sitting here going, well, I need to find this guy. But what you have to understand that this guy, Chris, he was 86 years old and he drove this like 46-year-old Ford Edsel or whatever it was. And I drove up, they had his address listed in the Charlottesville Observer. And I went and actually, tracked him down, found out where he lived. And I actually parked in front of his house. And it was about 5:30, 6 o'clock, late one night in Charlottesville, Virginia. And I hope, I'm not giving anything away to Oscar, but I'm just giving him all due respect. And I'm outside his door, and he's got like a little white picket fence, and up comes this 46, 47 pea green Ford. And out of the car comes a guy. He's got a bowler derby. He has like a green, almost velour corduroy, like pea green suit, tie, and he's got a little, briefcase with him as he's walking up to the door to the gate. And I go up to him. I go, "Pardon me, Mr. Bowles?" He goes, "Yeah." And he said, "What can I do you for?" And I said, I'm not stalking you. I'm not, wanting anything. I'm just, a doctoral student at the University of Virginia. I'm in the sports psychology program. And I said, "You're one of the most successful people here in America. And I just love, to sort of pull on your leg and listen to your story and talk to you for a little bit." And he looked at me. He said, "Well, young fella, okay, you seem pretty anxious to get going. Can you give me a minute?" So he goes inside and we sit on his porch and he's got like these rocking chairs. And I'm talking to him about, what it takes, to be a Fuller Brush salesman. And he said he got started when he was 19 years of age. And I said, "Wow, I mean, you've been doing this for a long time." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I got into it." I'm going to kind of talk to you, Chris, how he talked to when I talked to him. He said, "Yeah, I got into it at 19 years old." He goes, "I told my sister and my mother I was going to be a door-to-door salesman. And they said, you wouldn't last 3 days." He goes, "By God, I'll show you." He goes, "And here I've been doing it now for over 60 years. And he said, "And I'm still doing it." And I said, "Did that give you a lot of pleasure?" He goes, "Well," he goes, "I just did it just to piss him off, I think. I just stayed into it for a long time." But I said, "What was it about you, going door to door? It had to be tough." And he said, "Here's, what I did. I thought that the Fuller Brush Company was the best company in the world. They had the best product. And every time I walked up to a house, I would knock on that door and I would be giving them the opportunity to actually partake and buy the best products in the world that Fuller, Brush Company could make or I could actually present to them. I never sold anybody anything, never forced my way into the house. And I said, this is what I want you to have." And he goes, "I believed in my product. I believed in the company. But most importantly, I believed in Oscar Bowles." And I thought to him, I said, "Didn't you get, your, door slammed in your face?" He goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, you get that all the time." I go, "But the resiliency, the bounce back. I mean, how did you actually, move on to the next house?" I said, "Because, just so many no, no, no." I said, "It has to be sort of, kind of wear you down." He goes, "Here's what I did." He goes, "Your name's Bob?" I go, "Yeah, my name's Bob." He goes, "Bob, here's what I did. When I gave them the opportunity, they said, 'No, we don't want any,' or they shut the door, and most of the people were pretty nice." He goes, "I knew that someday that they're going to need, one of my products. So I always left them, a little card, a little brochure. If you need anything, get a hold of me." And then I would turn around. And when I turned around and walked down, that sidewalk, I was looking forward to the next sale, to the next person that really wanted to buy, Fuller Brush products from me, Oscar Bowles. And what I
Wow.
got out of that session was just the refusal to actually be denied, to persist until you succeed. And because in our sport of golf, how many times have we seen putts missed, and the golf gods are saying, no, no, no. And for me, the greatest lesson I can teach people is what I learned from Oscar Bowles, is that, when that putt is over, you have to put that thing behind you, like, the Lion King, Hakuna Matata, and move into the next shot with this renewed vigor, this renewed enthusiasm, and that you persist until you succeed. Here was an 86-year-old, man who didn't know me from Adam, who was teaching me the greatest lesson I ever learned. And it was about the power of getting to yes. And sometimes you're going to be told no, no, no. And I'd be thinking about all of the great players who had, gone through all of the adversity, have gone all through the negativity, who finally got to yes. And that's really, what I'm really trying to help everybody with this year. 2026 is getting through the doubt, getting through the negativity, and getting to yes, because it's out there. It's out there if you have the persistence, if you have, the willpower, the intestinal fortitude, and you also have, the self-inspiring motivation to say, by God, somebody's got to do this. It might as well be me. And today's the day that I do this. So that's really what I'm, really wishing for everybody for 2026. And whether it's in, your personal life, social life, your academic, your athletic life, your golf life, man, I mean, think about what type of a mindset. How good would you be if you had that type of a mindset?
100%, Doc. I mean, that's a wonderful thing to kick off 2026 with. A wonderful story, first of all, and so much respect for Oscar Bowles for what he did and how he went about doing it and the attitude that he did it with. And then to share that story. But I think you're spot on. I think that is the thing that we all need to keep in the back of our minds as we kick off the new year. When you were telling the story, I just thought about how many of your peers that I have talked to, peers that played on tour and played this game, that went through Q school 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, times. All the times that, essentially the golf god said no, but they persisted through it and eventually got to yes and got out there onto the PGA Tour, the LPGA Tour. And I think we can all take a lesson from that, no matter what it is, right? We're trying to win our club championship, or we're just trying to beat our buddies week in and week out. And how many times we had to dip into our wallet before we finally made them dip into the wallet, just trying to get to that yes. I think that's a fantastic thing.
Well, it's just like, TP was talking about with Mac O'Grady. I mean, how many times did Mac go through Q school? So like 22 or 23 different times before he got his tour card. And then he turned out to be a fantastic player, an even better, teacher. So, I mean, hey, it's just realizing the value of, I play to win, but I refuse to lose. I refuse to fold tent. I refuse to give in. And when we start talking about grit, when we start talking about determination, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So that's really, what, Dr. Bob Winters is really offering, people this year. And 2026 is going to be a great year. And I've had so many people winning already. And we'll actually just keep, adding, to the mantle, all those different trophies, almost like you, Chris, that you surrounded by all your trophies. And kudos to you. And like, Tom, says, hey, listen, I'm just so damn proud to be part, of Next on the Tee, and to be with you, and to be a regular here on the show, and to add a few little tidbits, a few stories here and there. And I know you've got, Mark, coming up, and what a great talent he is. And I've seen him a few times on tour, said hello. I mean, not really knowing him all that well, but I've always loved his personality. Just a great guy, great player. And, I just wish him all the best. Tell him I said hello, and hope he has a great 2026 as well.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. You're the best, my friend. Remind everybody one more time how they can reach out to you and find you, whether it's online or on social media.
Well, they can find me at Instagram and Facebook at Dr. Robert Winters or Dr. Bob Winters. They can find me on the World Wide Web at theconfidencedoctor.com, or you can go into golfzoneledbetter.com. And if you can't find me there, my goodness, just go Google me. Somebody will find me, and I will get back with you. That's how we do it.
Indeed. Dr. Bob, thank you so much for kicking off 2026 with me tonight. You're fantastic, my friend. I'm already looking forward to February. All the best to you and your family. We'll catch up soon.
Thanks, Chris. Have a great one. Talk to you soon.
You too.
Bye-bye.
See you, Dr. Bob. That's a great Dr. Bob Winters. Again, at Dr. Bob Winters or at Dr. Robert Winters is where you can find him on social media, theconfidencedoctor.com. How great was that story, right? To get us in the right mindset as we move forward throughout 2026. Oscar Bowles, Fuller Brush salesman. I love that whole thing. And it really kind of boils down to is not to be denied. Don't stop until you get the yes. And, get rid of all that negativity. It's kind of what we talked about with Mike Miller at the end of segment number 1 of the show, right? Get past all that crazy negativity and stuff that people want to throw your way or kind of creeps into your mind. Move on to yes, move on to positivity. That's what Dr. Bob is so great about each and every month. And get our mindset right. Get them the positivity there. Keep going until you get to your yes. Don't, like you said, don't fold the tents, right? What would you do that for? Right? You're in this game for a reason. Go have fun. Go out there and achieve your dreams, whether it's in the game of golf or otherwise in your life. Keep pressing forward. Love that. Great stories from Dr. Bob. Like I say, looking forward to February already with him, and put that in your little notebook. I got that in my little notebook that we talked about throughout the last couple of years. The Doc's been a part of the show, right? Write some of these things down. Put a little notebook, stick it in your golf bag. Things start to go wrong, you pop it out, you read a couple of nice bullet points that he has given us over the years. Get your mindset back right. Go play that next shot. Go rescue your round or play better. I think that's one of the great things that Dr. Bob does each and every month. It gives us a nugget that we can add to our notebook that's going to help us play better when we need it. So, like I say, we'll catch up with him again soon. Okay, now next on the tee with me is a guy who I am blessed to say has become a wonderful friend, and I have an immense amount of respect and appreciation for, and that is 1989 Open champion Mark Calcavecchia. Let me remind you a little bit about Mark's background. Played his college golf at the University of Florida from 1978 to 1980. He was named All-SEC in 1979, and that season, Mark won the Furman Invitational. He turned pro in 1981. Mark got his first win out on tour at the 1986 Southwest Golf Classic. He recorded one of the lowest scoring rounds to par in PGA Tour history when he finished 28 under at the 2001 Waste Management Open, which featured a second round 60. At the 2009 Canadian Open, he set a record by making 9 consecutive birdies during his second round. In all, Mark won 13 times out on the PGA Tour, 4 more times out on the Champions Tour, and over the course of his career, he had 193 top 10 finishes, 351 top 25s. He is a fantastic follow on Twitter at Mark Calc, and I'm thrilled to have him back with me kicking off the new year here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Mark, Happy New Year, my friend. How are you?
Hey, Chris. Happy New Year. Great to be back with you again.
So, Mark, first and foremost, I got to ask you, how's Brenda? The thumb and wrist surgeries, how's she doing?
Right. She's she's way tougher than I am, as we all know. It's been a few weeks. She's still sore. Had a great physical therapy today. It's people, my friends think it's kind of a weird surgery, but actually her surgeon does like 10 of them a week.
Wow.
It's extra bone in the palm of your thumb. And it was like 2 centimeters big, and it was bone on bone. So, I mean, anytime anything hit her thumb, it killed her. But she's doing great. And she did her right thumb 5 years ago, so she had it in both hands.
Oh my, really?
Yeah, really, yeah, super weird.
Yeah.
So and her right hand feels great, so she's looking forward to her left hand to feel great. But it's only been a couple of weeks, so she's still kind of sore, but she's doing good.
That's good news. Prayers up for her. Mark, I want to take a look at what's going on around the PGA Tour and get some of your thoughts, because in the past, we would have had this Century tournament this past weekend. We still do get the Sony Open, at least for this year. But recently, Brian Rolapp and Tiger have proposed a lot of changes out on the PGA Tour, which would essentially lop off the January and early February tournament so they don't have to compete with the NFL. And then take it further, they're looking maybe to pare down the total number of tournaments somewhere between 20 and 22, and all of those becoming essentially signature events with smaller fields, some of them with no cuts. The other tournaments that we would have had would get regulated down to the Corn Ferry Tour, maybe fall to the fall season when no one watches anyway, because they are going up against football, both NFL and college football. But what are your thoughts about what you've heard them suggest for what could come about in 2027 and beyond?
Well, it's getting harder and harder for younger guys and people trying to get to the PGA Tour to not only get there, but to stay there. With the elevated events and the majors, and I disagree with less events being played, but I get it, but man, it's getting harder and harder just to get to the PGA Tour. Number one, there's no tour school now, so kind of like the Champions Tour, there's no tour school. It's just hard to get to a place. I mean, I play a lot with Nick Hardy at the Questa Country Club, and he lost his card this year, and he's got to go back to the Corn Ferry, and man, it's tough. I don't really like that the path that it's gone.
Yeah, I'm concerned, Mark, because and I've talked to several of your peers, and we've talked on this show for the last couple of months. I mean, the mantra around our game over the last several years has been grow the game, right? We scoffed at the guys on Live to go over there because they were going to grow the game, and we're going to scoff at all of that. But now, all of a sudden, when we talk about growing the game, here we are on the PGA Tour. Say, well, let's have fewer events. Let's have signature events.
Yeah.
Essentially, I feel like the PGA Tour is trying to become the Live Tour here in America. I don't understand when we're trying to grow the game, and that was the big thing. All of a sudden, now we're talking about fewer tournaments and fewer tour cards and fewer players being in it. To your point, it's just going to make, to me, in my mind, it's going to make it hard for guys coming up through the college ranks and even through the Corn Ferry Tour to be able to get out there when it seems like everything at the peak is shrinking.
Exactly. Yeah, we're trying to grow the game. Yeah, great. I mean, it's a great game, but you can't grow the game by offering less spots to great players. I mean, there's so many great players that can't get on the PGA Tour, or even the Corn Ferry Tour, or even the Champions Tour. It's just, I think the level of golf now, the level of great play today is amazing. And there's so many great players that can't get to where they want to get to, whether it be the PGA Tour, the Corn Ferry Tour, or even the Champions Tour. So it's a tough spot.
Yeah. Switching gears a little bit, Mark, and I saw you commented on a post on Twitter where a guy was talking about the beauty of the McGregor persimmon drivers that Mr. Nicklaus used to use when he won his golf tournaments and won all those majors. You commented that you got to sit next to Jack Wulcotte and watch him make those McGregor drivers. What was that like?
I did. That was super cool. And just 100 yards down the street was the guy that took care of me when I was a kid, when I first moved to North Palm Beach, Florida in 1973. His name was Don Kepler, and his clubs were called Kepler's Custom Clubs. And he introduced me to Jack, but Don Kepler took care of me, and he was amazing. He was one of my best friends. He sadly passed away a few years ago, but and Jack, of course, I met him through Don Kepler and Mr. Nicklaus, obviously. And he was, like I said, 100. His shop was 100 yards up the street. And I go in there and I look at all these drivers and 3-woods and 4-woods. There weren't 5-woods back then. There were 4-woods and irons, and the Nicklaus. I mean, the diamond punch irons that he had on the corner of his irons. It was amazing. And when Jack put his clubs in the bag, they made a weird sound. He didn't have normal grips. He had these like leather wrapped cork grips that when you put them in the bag, they clanked. It wasn't like a normal grip, and I was amazed Jack could hang on to these things in bad weather. But yeah, Mr. Wulcotte was amazing, and it was really cool to watch him make Jack, the best player in the world's clubs. It was a treat.
Yeah, these things to me are kind of a work of art, if you will, Mark. I mean, today's clubs, they're mass-produced and they're kind of generic. You can paint them black or blue or whatever, but they're kind of, pressed metal. But these things were hand-carved or carved out of wood, and I've got a Nicklaus 3-wood and driver, the McGregor back then, and I've also got my buddy Angelo sent me a bottle opener that's got the head of one of those McGregor 3-woods on it as well. I mean, to me, there's something special about how they were created and made for, in your case, right, watching what they were actually made for Mr. Nicklaus.
Yeah, there's the sanding, there's the refinishing, there's the polishing. Yeah, putting the inserts in.
Right.
Yeah, I remember the old phrase back when you used to hit it on the screws.
Hit it the screws, that's right.
Had 6 screw inserts. Yeah. So there was a lot of process to it. Different areas of your shop that things were done. So it was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, you mentioned how we had 4 woods back in the day, not 5 woods, but I don't know if you've pulled one of those 4 woods out recently just to look at it. When I look at them now, I'm thinking, how in the hell did we ever hit a golf ball with that little head? I
I
mean,
know.
that thing is barely larger than a 50-cent piece that you had to hit the golf ball with. It's amazing we even made contact.
I have looked at them a lot. I still got my old, Tommy Armour, McGregor, Iomatic drivers, and woods that I thought were super cool. And now, I mean, they're smaller than like 7 woods. Uh, the metal woods. So
Right.
it. I saw Mark Hensby made a post. He had his old 5 wood from 35 years ago or 40 years ago, and his new 5 wood, and the new 5 wood looked like a driver compared to his old one. So yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I've been saying for a while now that we've started to see a little bit of a return to silly season in the fall with the skins games and things like that, that it would be a fun tournament to watch if today's players would use the equipment from that era. Go back to the persimmon woods and the bullseye putter and the balata golf balls and see how they would play with them. I think that would be a fun tournament to watch.
No, it'd be hysterical. Yeah, today's people really, golf fans have no idea what when you hit a hook back in the late 70s and 80s, it hooked and it did not straighten out like today's golf ball. It kept hooking, and when you hit a slice, it kept slicing. Uh,
Indeed.
you could, today you have to. I mean, you can work the golf ball, but you've got to put a lot of effort into curving the ball, maybe 5 yards, 5 to 10 yards. So that's a big curve today. Back then, that was almost a straight ball. So it was a different story.
Indeed. 180 degrees the other direction. I saw that you're not a fan of autonomous vehicles, and I keep seeing that Tesla isn't far away from autonomous Ubers and taxis, and AI taking over the world is right around the corner. But you're not getting into an autonomous taxi.
No, I'm not. Those things just freak me out. I don't know. We spent 2.5 months out in Scottsdale this summer with our daughter who was going through a weird cancer thing, and she's fine now. She's great, but they're all over Scottsdale, and yeah, I just every time I look in, and I said, I can't believe there's not a driver in there. Every single time, I'm like, how is nobody driving this thing? So yeah, no, I'm not a, I'm not no, I'm not a fan of that. I get
Yeah.
technology and all, but no, I need somebody to be driving my car.
I was talking with Tom Patry, who says hello, as did Dr. Bob Winters. I guess both sending you their best in the 2 previous segments. But TP is really gone with a new AI assistant program that pulls in all of his previous lessons and
Has he?
materials and
Yeah,
books and all that stuff, and it pushes stuff out. I said this to TP. I'm afraid that we're just a couple of years from AI taking over as your local PGA professional, because it's going to know everything. It's going to overlay video. It's going to tell you what you're doing wrong. It's going to
right.
watch your ball fly and everything. And the next thing you know, our 30,000 PGA professionals are going to be out of work because it's now the AI professional. It's scary stuff to me, Mark.
I'm very freaked out about it. And Tom's an extremely smart guy, as we all know. And I mean, he would know better than me. But yeah, no, it's kind of scaring me a little bit. I pray that our teaching pros and our PGA professionals and stuff aren't replaced by AI.
Yeah.
It just you know it's a weird time we're going through here, and we'll see what happens.
Mark, I was talking with Gary Player a few months ago, and one of the topics we discussed was winning majors. And I remember Mr. Nicklaus used to always say that he thought winning a major was easier than winning a regular tournament out on the PGA Tour, because at a major, there were only a handful of guys who thought they were capable of winning a major. And Mr. Player agreed with that. Do you feel like back when you were competing in the majors that the field sort of narrowed a little bit because of the mindset the players had and being able to deal with the pressure, that a lot of those guys eliminated themselves because they just didn't think they were capable of winning?
You know, when I played all my majors, I I didn't really think like that because I was more nervous in majors. You know, everybody says it's just another golf tournament. You know, treat it like another tournament. But I couldn't. You know, I knew it was the Masters. I knew it was the U.S. Open, the PGA, the British Open. So I couldn't quite relax myself to think that way. But I do agree with Jack in that sense that I do probably think the Masters is probably could be the easiest major to win, because you know you only got what a 90 guys now, and you know 10 of them are amateurs. You know, 30 of them probably have no chance to start with. Another 30 are probably going to not play their best. So you're down to, if you play good, you're probably down to beating 10 to 15 guys. So I can see where he would say that. But you know, the way he thought, and I read some things about Jack where he'd approach practice rounds and just figure out where he couldn't miss it, you know, XXX here, and he wouldn't miss it there. So he wouldn't make silly mistakes. And I think that's where Jack Nicklaus kind of wore everybody down, where he had the discipline to hit it where he was aiming, and knew where he couldn't miss it. And I think that was why he won so many majors. Also, because other guys, I agree with him, didn't think they could win majors. So it was it was a win-win for him.
Yeah, I remember Mr. Nicklaus also talking about, with respect to the majors, that when it got down to the fourth round or the final holes, looking around and go, you know, they're all going to choke and I'm
Right.
not.
Right. Yeah,
That
exactly.
that mindset is unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. It is, and that's the way he thought. That he knew he was just going to be solid, and you know, do what he needed to do, and the other guys were just going to make bogeys, and if he just kept making pars and hitting greens, and you know, that he was going to win, and that was certainly a great mindset. Well, having said that, how many times did he finish second in majors?
Right.
20
Yeah.
something,
19.
19. Yeah, yeah. How about that stat in the Open for like 20 straight years? He never finished out of the top four or something. I mean, it
Right.
was crazy. I mean, maybe if he would have played a little more aggressive, he might have won 28 majors. Who knows? But you know, you can't hardly argue with the strategy. But man,
Yeah.
yeah, what he did worked for him for sure.
Yeah, you know, the opposite side of that coin, you know, being that aggressive, does he win however many more majors? You know, it brings into my mind Mr. Palmer, right? Always went for it, always aggressive.
Yeah,
You know, how many more majors could Mr. Palmer have won if maybe he had backed off just a little bit, you know, instead of being the aggressive style he always had?
right,
Yep.
exactly. And but that's what made Arnie. You know,
Right.
that's what made him uh, so appealing to everyone. That he was always charging. You know,
Yep.
uh, and you know, I remember him watching him, and you know, lucky enough to play with him a decent amount in my early years, and get to know him, and you know, Arnie's Army, and he was aggressive. He was going for it. So, and that's what people loved.
That's right. Now, you mentioned being nervous in majors. Were you nervous in '89 at the Open? I mean, you had to go obviously extra holes to win it. Were you nervous coming down the stretch?
You know, oddly enough, I well, yeah, uh, it was a little bit, but at that time I was so confident in what I was doing. The first time I really got nervous was my second shot on 18 in regulation. Greg Norman was in at 13 under, and I was right behind the bunker that he hit it in the playoffs. That's another story, but I had a perfect yardage. It was a nice hard 8-iron, and right when I set up to it, and Wayne Grady was still 2 shots ahead of us, but I was 12 under. Greg Norman was 13 under, so I knew if I had any chance, I had to hit it close and birdie the 18th hole. And I stepped up to it, and I had this just super wave of nervous hit me. And I rarely back off a shot. And I said, oh my God, you better back off this thing and just regroup here for a minute. And I did that. Took a deep breath. I got nervous just thinking about it. And I hit it in there to 3 feet. And I was nervous on the putt, but made it. And then, somehow Wayne Grady made bogeys on 14 and 17 and got in a playoff. And, I wasn't that nervous in the playoff somehow because, I didn't know it was 4 holes. I thought we were going back to 18. And the RNA guy said, no, we're playing 1, 2, 17, and 18. And that actually relaxed me. And I felt good about that because I knew that, I didn't have to be perfect right off the bat. And of course, Norman birdied 1 and whatnot, and 2, but I birdied 2, and he bogeyed 17. I parred 17, and then he hit it in the bunker in 18, and I hit the shot of my life. So it was, I think about this a lot as I get older, and even on the Champions Tour, I've messed up some tournaments because I've gotten nervous. But then I go back and think, well, I've won 13 times, and I was nervous on each one of those, on the tour and an open. I was nervous then too. So it just goes to show you, sometimes when you're nervous, you can do it and you play great, and sometimes you don't. You hit a bad shot. It's just the nature of the game. Golf's hard. Confidence is a big part of it. I've always said I've been more nervous trying to make a cut than winning a tournament, depending on where you are and what the situation is, because you hate missing cuts, and when you're trying to win a tournament, you're confident, but when you're trying to make a cut, you're not playing great, and it's hard. So yeah, nervousness is a big part of the game of golf for sure.
Yeah, when you're trying to make a cut, especially I'm guessing early in your career, right? I mean, you don't make a cut back then, you don't get paid. So, like Lee Trevino talked about, right? When, the most nervous he ever was playing, in a
Right.
NASA or playing a guy, right? For $100 and you've only got 5 in your pocket, right?
I swear to God, I thought of that 2 weeks ago. I'm playing at Tequesta Country Club, and me and Russ Cochran are playing with these 2 other guys in the black tee game that we haven't met before. And the guy gets up in the first tee and says, so what are you playing? $300 Nassau? I got I might have 150 in my pocket or something. I don't know. I don't carry a whole lot of money around. And I'm like, who on earth is this guy? $300 Nassau? I said, no, how about a $50 closeout or something, I was like, oh my God. And I thought of Lee Trevino. The most nervous you're going to be is when you're playing a guy for, $20 Nassau and you got $5 in your pocket. I swear to God, I thought the exact same thing.
Going back to competing in majors, I know that you have a lot of friends out on tour that are young players, Eric Cullen, other guys that you talk to and stuff like that. When you talk to them about competing in a major, what do you tell them? What's the key to winning a major? What do you tell those young guys how to bring one home?
Well, I play a lot with Eric and Nick Hardy and some of these guys at Tequesta, and Eric's just trying to get his first win. And we talked about that the other day. He spent 13 years on the mini tours, and I know he's happy to be on the PGA Tour, and he almost won the Honda in his rookie season. Lost in a playoff to Chris Kirk, and got Rookie of the Year. Blah blah blah, and he's a great player. I watch this stuff every day, but I think his mindset is that he's just happy to be on the PGA Tour after struggling so long. I mean, he's 37 years old now, so he's not like he's a youngster. So when he gets in majors, I think he's just kind of happy to be there, quite honestly, and he wants to play well. He hasn't really contended for one yet. Same with some of the other young friends I have. But majors are hard. They're so hard. They're hard. It's hard to win at any golf tournament, let alone a major. So I just tell them when they get in the majors, just try to treat it like another tournament, which is, like I said earlier, impossible because it's a major. You're more nervous, but it's a fine line. It's a hard thing to accomplish.
Mark, just a couple more before I let you go. And looking back a little further in career, you won the Honda Classic twice. You did it in '87 and again nearly a dozen years later in 1998. But that tournament was a bit of a nomad, moving around South Florida. For people who've been around a while like me, you probably remember when it was the Jackie Gleason Inverary Classic, and then later National Airlines came around, right? So you had an opportunity to win that thing twice. You did it, at TPC Eagles Trace in Coral Springs, and then at Heron Bay as well. Talk about winning that tournament in two different places and the evolution that tournament went through.
My first tournament I ever saw on the PGA Tour, my older brother took me to the Jackie Gleason Inverary Classic in 1974 when we first moved down to North Palm Beach from Nebraska. And I knew then, I told my older brother, I said, this is what I'm going to do for a living. I'm going to do this. I was just mesmerized. Watched, just watched all day long with my mouth open, and tried to qualify for the U.S. Open there, blah blah blah, and played, got on tour and played some tournaments there. And then as time went on, we moved over to Eagle Trace, which as a tour member, I think it opened in 84, 85. I drove down there 5 days a week from North Palm Beach. It took me like an hour and 5 minutes to get there. And I'd play 18 holes. I get there, be the first one off the tee at 7 in the morning, leave at 5:30, play 2 balls a hole. So, which is like playing 36 holes, trying as hard as I could, rest, hit balls, practice, and drive home and be home by 2 in the afternoon and take a big nap. So I did that for basically 2 straight years. So when the Honda Classic came there in 87, trust me, no one knew the course better than me. And it was super windy that week. I think I was 7 under and won by 2 over Payne Stewart. But it was if there was ever a home field advantage for me that week, that was it, because I'd played in all kinds of wind conditions there, and it was awesome. So great memory, obviously. And then in '98 at Heron Bay, no one really liked that course, but I did for some reason, and played well. Home event, I love home events. Went in Phoenix 3 times, living there as well. So the Honda Classic holds a big place in my heart.
So looking out at the 2026, the whole of 2026, what does it look like for you? What's on your calendar?
Good question. I've been playing a lot the last 6 weeks at home. I'm going to kind of make a comeback, I'll call it a mini comeback on the Champions Tour. Luckily for me, because of my PGA Tour career, I'm still fully exempt on the Champions Tour, which in my opinion is about the hardest, unless you had a great PGA Tour career, the hardest tour to be exempt on and stay on. There's no tour school this year, so it's tough, but I'm going to start out. I'm going to play the first 5 events next year, see how it goes. I've been playing a lot. I've been practicing some. Feel decent health-wise. So I'm 65. I'm not kidding myself. I'm not Bernhard Langer or Jay Haas. But the only thing I'm having an issue with right now is my consistency. Shot 67 last week, 74 the next day, 68 the next day, 73 the next day. I hit it great one day. I don't hit it great the next day. So it's kind of like when I switched to the claw putting back in 01. I'd putt great one day with my conventional grip, and then the next day in the 4th hole, I'd yip a 4-footer. So I could never get any confidence. That's kind of what I'm dealing with my my iron game right now. I hit it fine one day, and the next day I'm left, right, chunk, all over the place. Next day, hit it great. Can't figure it out. So that's right, golf in a nutshell. Can't figure it out.
Yeah, I was talking to some folks a couple of weeks ago here on the show. I was talking to John Inman, and one of the things we were discussing is how, one day it feels like you figured it out.
Yeah.
I figured golf out. I got it now.
Right.
The next day it looks like you never played the game before. It's unbelievable.
What works one day doesn't work the next. How is that possible? And that's the whole secret to golf, and secret to playing great in tournaments 4 days in a row. I mean, I had it. I've obviously done that where, I had it and I played great 4 days in a row and won a tournament. And then sometimes the next week, well, what happened to what worked last week? Why is what worked last week not working this week? Or what worked yesterday not working today? 100%. John's right on. It's golf, man. So it makes it the hardest game in the world.
Indeed. Mark, before I let you go, remind our listeners you're a great follow. So is Brenda out there on social media. Remind them how they can find you.
I'm at Mark Calc on Twitter, and Brenda's at Brenda Calc. I don't even know what her Instagram is, but or mine for that matter. But you can find us.
Mark, you're the best, my friend. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your night to come back and be a part of the show. It's always a huge thrill to get to spend some time with you. I hope we get this privilege with you again soon.
Thanks, Chris. Anytime. You know that.
I appreciate you. Take care. All the best to you and Brenda. I look forward to catching up with you soon.
You got it. Thanks for having me.
You bet. See you, Mark.
All right. See you, Chris.
That is the great Mark Calcavecchia, folks. You want to talk about a great guy who has just been a super treat on this show and just has meant a lot to the golf world. And like Dr. Bob and Tom Patry talked about how much they appreciate Mark and what he did in college and then out on the PGA Tour and the manner with which he did it. And you hear it through the course of the conversation. No one's more fun to talk to than Mark Calcavecchia is. So, I highly recommend finding both Mark Calc and Brenda Calc out on Twitter and giving them a follow. You're going to enjoy the content that they put out there. You're going to enjoy the remarks that they make and the people that they are. I can't thank both of them enough for what they've meant to me in this show over the years and how supportive they've been. And just two finer individuals you will not find anywhere out there in the world. So my thanks to Mark and Brenda, and I look forward to having them both on the show again very, very soon. All right, my friends, it is time for me to put a bow on this episode of Next on the Tee. My sincere thanks go out again to Mike Miller, Tom Patry, Dr. Bob Winters, and Mark Calcavecchia for joining me. Scheduled to join me next time are our good friend Tom Purtzer will be back. PGA professional Jim Woods will make his Next on the Tee debut with me, as will caddy Bobby Loops Palmieri. You're really going to love Bobby, and I hope you'll come back and be a part of that episode with us. I want to thank our friends again over at the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review for being such wonderful partners and for hosting this show on their site. For coverage of everything going on in Western Pennsylvania, including your favorite sports, go to triblive.com. You can find the show by then clicking on the Sports section tab, and you'll find the most recent episodes right there front and center on the homepage of that Sports section. Or you can click on Sports and then Podcast Network. Then you'll see the Next on the Tee logo. Click on that, and many of the most recent episodes from this season are right there for you as well. You can also find us pretty much anywhere you get your podcast content. We're out there on Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, golfnewsnet.com. If you have a favorite podcast site, we're probably on that one too. Just type in Next on the Tee in the search bar. You'll probably find us there as well. But as always, my biggest thanks go out to each and every one of you for being the greatest supporters in the history of podcasts, bar none. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Until next time, hit 'em straight, my friends.
Thanks for joining Chris again this week on Next on the Tee. We hope you enjoyed the conversations as much as we did. Please share the show with your golf buddies and be sure to follow it on Trib Live or your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Thanks for pressing play and being part of the journey. We'll see you next week, right here, where the best minds in golf share their stories.